Hello everyone and welcome back. If this is your first time, I hope you will stay. Espero que te quedes. Now this video is a requested video and I haven't done it before because I don't feel as though I can do this topic justice in a 15-minute video. It's just way too much to cover, but I'm going to try my very best and I'm going to look at it from a different angle as opposed to the angle I normally take when I'm covering a topic. Okay, so I'm going to look at ways that you can approach it, what you should be looking at, and of course, a few keywords that you should be looking at. But I'm not doing the normal structure, okay? Right, so AQA, this is basically what you're looking at. You're looking at historical places and pre-Hispanic civilizations. So sitios históricos y civilizaciones prehispánicas, arte y arquitectura, so art and architecture, patrimonio musical y su diversidad en el mundo hispano. So music is a massive part of it, okay? Right, before I go any further, I have to say, before you go any further, I want you to think about this question. What does it mean when you say patrimonio cultural? Cultural heritage, what does that mean? Answer this question for me. Give me a definition of it. I believe you absolutely need to be clear about what it is before you proceed. Okay? Right. So, what is it? Okay, so it's cultural heritage that's from the past. We can now still enjoy it, and it is protected so that future generations will be able to enjoy it and understand about the people who came before them. Okay? So, it can be materiales or inmateriales. And lo voy a mostrar ahora en las dos secciones. Who decides what's cultural heritage? You need to be aware of this, okay? UNESCO, we say UNESCO, en español lo pronuncian UNESCO, okay? So it is, what is it? There you go. Las siglas. UNESCO. Right, so they're in charge of such decisions. So we have, just in Spain, because it's so vast, when you're talking about the Hispanic countries, it's just so vast, we would not be able to cover it all. So today I'm really going to just focus on Spain, but obviously we can't talk about patrimonio cultural without talking about the Americas, okay? You just cannot. So, civilizaciones prehispánicas in las Americas. A lot of times they talk about the New World that the Spanish traveled to conquer, to colonize. When they got there, what are the civilizations were there before? Who came before them? So we have los Aztecas. Mexico is so rich. Mexico, you cannot forget Mexico, you can't forget Peru, you can't forget Colombia. The region is so vast that there's so many people who came before. These are perhaps the most common that you would have seen. So, los Aztecas, los Mayas, los Incas, los Chibchas, los Mixtecas. This isn't E, by the way. Okay? Los Toltecas. Okay, so some of these people you would have seen before. A-level is all about research. Okay, you have to make it a habit to read. And it is fun because when you find something interested in, you will take the time and you'll want to go and learn about it because it's interesting, it's so much to learn and you're open to all this information. And this is so fun, you know? There are movies about some of these civilizations. Go and watch them. I urge you to do that. They're really fantastic books as well. If you don't want more reading, get something light. Find a summary on one of these that you find you think you're going to get the most of. The Azteca y las Mayas y las Incas. The three first ones I recommend that you do, because I think there's so much more information, especially at school, about these three. Okay? Peru. This is a word that you absolutely need to know. It's a place in Peru that attracts so many visitors yearly from all over the world. Machu Picchu. That's a word, that's a place we've seen 100 times. Okay, so these are things that you want to think about. Okay, when we're talking about Spain, bienes culturales y naturales, remember, when we're talking about patrimonio cultural, it can be inmateriales. What does that mean? It means language, it means knowledge, it means parties, dance, art, all of this. Whereas when we're talking about materiale y natural, things you can see, things that have been built by previous generations, buildings, it might be mountain ranges, it might be things that you can see physically, touch and visit. Okay, so have that very clear in your mind, what the differences are in these two terms. Okay, what's the main difference? That's a question for you. Okay, continuing. So in Spain, Hispania, bienes culturales y naturales. There, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are 47 or 49. I want to say 49 bienes culturales declarados por UNESCO. Okay, so I've only taken these 9 because these are the 9 places I've actually visited. Actually, I lie, 8 of these places I've visited. And so I would really recommend all of these for you to go and see, especially if you have the chance to come to Spain in the future. Alhambra Generalife Alguacil de Granada. Okay, this is amazing because it shows you where the kings lived in the past. It tells you for people who were from a specific time what it looked like. Honestly, when I went there, I felt so like I was a part of history in some way, because I was walking through the gardens that these kings had walked through, you know, that they'd lived, and it was a marvelous feeling, and it's just so beautiful. So this, I recommend that you go there as well. Okay, the gardens are still so wonderful today. Okay, La Mezquita y Centro Histórico in Córdoba. That's another place for you to go and visit. Obras de Antonio Gaudí in Barcelona. Now I can't remember what this is called. La Casa de... If you remember, put it down there. You went up the stairs and you had to touch the animals for good luck. I can't remember what that one's called. It's well worth the visit because the architecture is just amazing, and we can see that you can touch it, you can enjoy it. It's just so rich when it comes to patrimonio cultural en España. Hay una riqueza que es enorme. Yo no te lo puedo explicar. Es algo que ahora que estás estudiando lo puedes ver y luego visitar. Tenemos, okay, Ciudad Vieja de Santiago de Compostela. We have Acueducto de Segovia, and this you'll remember is una de las huellas romanas en España. Okay, it told you that the Romans were here. They built that. They built this Acueducto de agua, okay, that brought the water to town. Okay, Cueva de Altimira y Arte Rupestre Paleolítico. In the north of Spain, you can still go and see these caves. What art was in this moment in time, so long ago, but it's still present. And that's UNESCO's job as well. UNESCO's job is to protect these sites to make sure that future generations can also enjoy and see what life was like back so many centuries ago. Okay, Camino de Santiago. This is a massive one. Doesn't just talk about Spain, but what religion was in society back then. The French came and did this walk. Along the path you will have lots of churches, and it gives you so much about history. It's amazing, and people still do it for today. They still walk the walk, not perhaps for penitence like they did in the past, or maybe some people do, I don't know. Good point for you to research. Pirineos, Monte Perdido. One of the most beautiful places I've been. It was wonderful. If you love the Pyrenees, I really recommend you go there. Palmera de Elche. I was there 2 weeks ago. If you follow me on my Instagram, you've seen some of the photos that I put up here. Again, such natural beauty that, well, the earth is given us, and we are trying to preserve these, which is where UNESCO comes in as well. Okay, let's move on. We have things that are immateriales, which you would have seen in your book. Music and dance, flamenco, that as well is cultural heritage. Las Fallas de Valencia, again, another one, inmaterial, okay? Tamboradas son rituales al ritmo de tambores, so it's just drumming. It is amazing. When you were there, the feeling is just so intense. This is also been noted as Patrimonio Cultural de Hispania, okay? And this might surprise you a little bit. La dieta mediterránea. Did you know that the Mediterranean diet was considered cultural heritage as well? Well, it is. It is. And the last one, el arte de la piedra seca, desconocimiento y técnicas. Okay, so these are some of the ones that are more to do with knowledge and concepts. Okay, right, vocabulary that you absolutely need to know, and you will come across these in a lot of the texts that you read about this topic. Okay, in Unit 6, you will see all of these words. And when you're reading about previous civilizations, you will also see them, so note them down. Culturas indígenas, okay? Indigenous cultures. This is a word that you need to know. This is a phrase that you need. Make sure you have that down. Cueva de Altamira, which is in the north of Spain, the caves with all the old paintings of the Paleolítico period. Very common, you will see that. El yacimiento arqueológico, archaeological site. Good for you to know that one. A verb for you. Edificar, to build. When you start putting buildings up. Herencia, a heritage, can't miss that. Another verb, enriquecer. Enriquecer, to enrich. When you talk about culture and enriching culture and enriching yourself, knowledge, that's a good verb for you. La huella, which we've already seen, refers to print, as in fingerprint or your footprint, or the impression you leave, or as well trace. There have been traces of previous civilizations. Okay? Right. Another verb, colonizar, which is to colonize, which you've probably seen. And colonización, with the Spanish accent, colonización, como cuesta, del mundo nuevo, del nuevo mundo, which when they talk about el nuevo mundo, they're referring to America, when the Spanish went and they tried to settle there, the new world. Okay, we often hear that. Okay, destrozar, to wreck or to ruin. Arab, you've seen that a lot because there's so much Arab influence that you can still see present in Spain today. Just go to Granada. And this that I mentioned, La Alhambra, what more proof do you need of their presence and the print that they've left on Spain? If you go and you see the Mezquita, you see La Alhambra, this is all Arabs. They were here for 800 years, nearly 800 years. That's massive. Of course they're going to leave something back. They're going to leave something behind. So previous generations, not just the Romans, but the Arabs as well in Spain, still very present today. And we need to bear that in mind when we're talking about cultural heritage and what they left behind for present people to enjoy, and that UNESCO needs to make sure it's protected for future generations. Okay? Civilizaciones prehispánicas, prehispanic civilizations, which we've seen before when we're talking about the Aztecs, the Incas, and all of those previous civilizations. This word you should know, not just in this topic, but in general. Okay, can you see it there? Yeah. It's Hispanohablante, which is Spanish speaking, and La Cordillera mountain range. We talk about that a lot because even the Pyrenees that I mentioned before, the Pyrenees, so much to do with a part of history that you probably would have seen if you haven't seen it already. La Reconquista, that played a massive role, and it's the natural beauty is just, there are no words. And herencia cultural, cultural heritage. Okay, so these is a must know for this topic. Okay, this you can't get away. All of these words, you should know them, you should employ them, and yeah. I'm sorry, I feel as though I've rushed this because I honestly feel as though you need a whole week at least to talk about all the different points of the topic of patrimonio cultural. But since we were just looking quickly at the AQ and what they're asking of you, I just wanted to go over these points to make you see that these are some of the points that are in Spain, some of the physical features that you can find, you can visit, and also to consider the immaterial things, that the intangible things as well, like dance, music, language, and all of these things. Okay, read. You've got the points. If you want to learn about previous civilizations, I've given you a few. Research. As I said, Peru is one of the richest, and Mexico, they're so rich in patrimonio cultural that you won't be bored. There's just so much. Before I talk your heads off, go, research, read, watch movies. There are loads of fun movies about previous civilizations as well. Go and research, and let me know if you need me to recommend any. Some of the ones I've seen are quite out there, so I mean, perhaps a little bit bloody when we're talking about the Aztecs and the Incas, but do your own research, okay? Do your own research when it comes to film. Since you're doing education and we're talking about exams, perhaps it would be worth reading and getting facts rather than relying on movies, okay? I hope that you found this somewhat helpful, and good luck. I know exams are coming up, so good luck. Take your time, look after yourself, read, rest, do what you have to do, self-care. And I'm going to leave you with that, okay? Adios, chicos. Adios.